The snow was relentless, hammering my windshield with thick, icy flakes that made visibility near impossible. I shouldn't have been on the road, not with conditions like this. But it was Christmas Eve, and I was determined to make it to my in-laws' cabin in Tahoe. Emily, my wife, had flown ahead to help her mom prepare for the holiday, leaving me to drive up solo after work. I cursed under my breath for not leaving earlier as the car fishtailed slightly on a patch of black ice. The Sierra Nevada was a wonderland in winter, but tonight it felt menacing. The towering pines loomed over the road like silent sentinels, their snow-laden branches swaying in the howling wind. The radio had lost signal miles ago, and the GPS on my phone had cut out soon after. I was alone in the dark, navigating a narrow mountain road that twisted like a coiled snake. I don't remember exactly how it happened. One moment I was driving, and the next, a shadow darted across the road. I swerved instinctively, tires screeching as the car slid off the asphalt and plummeted down an embankment. The world spun, trees and snow blurring together until the impact jolted me back to reality. When I came to, the car was half buried in snow, its nose smashed against a tree. The airbag had deployed, and the sharp chemical scent of it mixed with the coppery tang of blood trickling from a cut on my forehead. I groaned, fumbling for the door handle and stumbling out into the freezing night. The cold hit me like a slap, sharp and unforgiving. The forest was eerily silent, save for the occasional groan of wind through the trees. My breath came in plumes as I assessed the damage. The car was totaled, and I was miles from the nearest town. No cell service, no flashlight. Just me, the snow, and the endless expanse of trees. I grabbed the emergency kit from the trunk, wrapping myself in a thermal blanket and pocketing a flare. The snow was too deep to stay put. I'd freeze to death before help arrived. So I started walking, following the faint glow of the moon through the clouds, hoping it would lead me back to the road. That's when I heard it. A low, guttural sound that sent a shiver down my spine, and not from the cold. It wasn't quite an animal growl, but it wasn't human either. I froze, scanning the darkness. The forest was a maze of shadows, every tree trunk and branch a potential threat. "Hello?" I called, my voice trembling. "Is someone there?" No response, just the whisper of wind and the crunch of snow underfoot. I pressed on, quickening my pace, but the feeling of being watched was impossible to shake. Every so often I caught glimpses of movement in my peripheral vision, a dark shape slipping between the trees, too fast and fluid to be a deer. The sound came again, closer this time, a clicking, chittering noise, like bones snapping or dry branches breaking. My heart pounded as I turned in circles, trying to pinpoint its source. That's when I saw it. At first, I thought it was a person. It stood on two legs, tall and thin, its silhouette barely visible against the snowy backdrop. But as it stepped closer, the details came into focus. Its limbs were too long, and its movements were unnaturally jerky. The head was wrong, like a distorted deer skull with hollow eyes that glowed faintly in the dark. And the smell, a rancid, earthy stench that made my stomach churn. "Who are you?" I demanded, though my voice cracked. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over a fallen branch. It didn't answer. Instead, it let out a sound that made my blood run cold, a mimicry of my own voice, distorted and hollow. "Who are you?" it echoed, tilting its head like a curious predator. I turned and ran, panic overtaking reason. The snow made every step a struggle, and my breath burned in my lungs as I pushed forward. Behind me, the thing gave chase, its movements unnervingly fast and erratic. I didn't dare look back, but I could hear it gaining on me, the snapping of branches and that terrible chittering noise growing louder. In my desperation, I fired the flare. The red light shot into the sky, illuminating the forest in an otherworldly glow. For a brief moment, I caught a clear glimpse of the creature. Its skin was pale and stretched tight over its bones, and its face was shifting, like it was trying to become something else, something human. The flare seemed to startle it. It recoiled, letting out an unearthly screech before vanishing into the shadows. I didn't stop running until I stumbled into a clearing where the faint outline of a cabin came into view. The cabin was dark and abandoned, but it was shelter. I barricaded the door with an old chair and huddled in the corner, clutching a rusty hunting knife I found in a drawer. The creature didn't follow me inside, but I could hear it circling the cabin, its guttural noises echoing through the night. I don't know how long I stayed there, too afraid to move or even breathe. When dawn finally broke, the sound stopped, and the forest seemed to return to its usual tranquil state. I made it to the road later that morning, where a passing snowplow driver found me and took me to safety. I never told anyone the full story, not Emily, not her parents, not even the authorities. Who would believe me? But every time I see the Sierra Nevada, I can't help but feel its eyes still watching, waiting for the next poor soul to wander too far into its domain.